Hello and welcome. Welcome to today's show. This is Ninjaball, and today we are going to focus on matters football beyond the pitch, the business, the impact, and the dream of the many people that we have back home who are focusing so much to see the betterment of this game. With us today, the president and the founder of Football Foundations Africa. How is Finland treating you so far?
So far, so good.
Yeah.
I'm here for the Play the Game conference that's happening in Tampere.
Okay.
But also glad to be here in Helsinki to meet fellow Kenyans and others. So far it's been excellent.
Okay, nice. Well, you started in IT and finance, not the typical football path. How did you think about creating the Football Foundation for Africa?
So it's quite a journey I had. Like you say, I have a background in IT and finance. I
Yes.
studied accounting, but most of my career was working in IT. I was fortunate to move abroad just after graduation, so I did my computer science at the University of Nairobi. But then I got an opportunity to move to Switzerland to work with an NGO there, and later with the UN. So I spent about 10 years in Geneva, Switzerland, mainly working in IT. But at some point, my passion, which is football, called me back. So apart from the IT finance, I was also, I believe, a good player. I played up to the second level in Kenya, the
Ah,
NSL now.
okay. What team was
So
that?
I played for Strathmore University FC.
All right,
So
all
we
right.
had a very good team then that was playing in the leagues. Yeah. So
Nice.
yeah, that's why I came back into football.
Cool. So, what's the core mission behind the foundation?
So when I started the foundation, the objective was to see how do we better resource grassroots football.
Okay.
Because from especially my experiences here in Europe, as I said, I was based in Geneva. I realized they have a very strong grassroots ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's not as we usually only focus on the top, the professional and the elite. But when I was here in Europe, I really enjoyed playing football in the amateur ranks, and I felt to observe this is what was lacking in Africa. We don't invest much at the grassroots level. The facilities we have there, the coaching standards at the grassroots level are really wanting.
Yeah.
So when I set out to do the Football Foundation for Africa, my main aim was to see how do we get more resources into grassroots football in Africa, but of course starting with Kenya, where I was born and raised.
Yeah, nice. Well, the African Football Summit has grown so far. Well, what gap did you see that inspired it?
So, like I said, I started with the initial aim of driving more investment into grassroots football, and I was mainly doing that through tournaments. And these grassroots football tournaments, I used to theme them tackling unemployment through sports, because I realized football was selling a lot of dreams, but not providing the right opportunities. So I was trying to re-engage, especially the private sector, that it's not just about sponsorship when it comes to how we deal with football, but I need the corporates to be closer to the game and to afford, especially young people, opportunities in their companies. Not just playing opportunities or the dream of becoming pro, but how do you fashion a footballer, for example, to be your IT guy or to be your finance guy, and even football in itself has so many other careers, sports lawyers and this kind of thing. So that's what I was trying to address. Um, Having stayed in Geneva for almost 10 years, I went back to Nairobi in 2019. I relocated.
All right.
But then immediately after my relocation, we had COVID.
Yeah.
So my whole strategy that was anchored on tournaments was disrupted,
Alright.
and I couldn't do much. But at this time, I also started to organize the Africa Football Business Show.
Okay.
So something similar to what we are doing here. We did
Right.
throughout the COVID period.
Yes.
I was hosting the Africa Football Business Show, and it is this that made me realize, wow, there's so many people out there who are knowledgeable about how we can build the sports ecosystem in Africa, but they are not working within the established setups, the federations and the clubs. They are just out there. That's why I said after COVID, I'll start to organize the Africa Football Business Summit to see how I can bring all these minds together to really create an agenda for African football, African sports. And that's the genesis of the Africa Football Business Summit.
Alright.
So now we are doing our fourth edition in a couple of weeks' time.
Nice. Nice. So, what do you think is like stopping African football clubs from becoming financially sustainable?
In my view, we don't have enough investment going into the football space. And the reason is a lot of these clubs cannot demonstrate a consistent or reliable ROI to their potential sponsors or partners.
Yeah.
So, and this mainly the corporate sector. We always look at the corporate sector as the people who can sponsor football, who can help us, make our clubs, academies, sustainable. So this is something that I've been battling with, trying to explore why are our corporates not
Investing into.
in sports? And I realized they don't see an ROI. So as much as they could come and sponsor, immediately their finances, shake a bit. The first place they would withdraw from is the sports space.
Yeah.
The other thing is that also, especially at the grassroots level now, we find that we usually sell the charity narrative, sports
Yeah.
for good and this kind of thing. But then again, that is out of choice. I can choose to support or not.
Yeah.
If I feel like I can give to charity, I'll do it. But when I feel I don't want to, I can't. So I would say recently I've had an intellectual breakthrough,
Yeah.
what is called football as infrastructure. And if we treat football as infrastructure, because that's what it is, football really is an economic enabler or multiplier. It creates so many other jobs or opportunities around it. So if we treat football as infrastructure, then we have the primary investor being government, and then how we work with the corporate sector now is different because now they come in as partners as opposed to just seasonal sponsors. So in my view, the primary investment needs to come from government, but government is not really keen on developing football. Government are looking to create employment. They are looking at establishing higher education standards. They are looking at health. All these things can be achieved through football as infrastructure. And if we get more investment coming in from government, automatically the corporate sector will come in, but from a different angle, as through what we call PPPs, public-private partnerships, so that we build a sustainable ecosystem. And as things improve, as the quality of the football improves, as we get more fans into the game, then the sponsorship and all these other things will start to work. The ecosystem now start to drive itself. We will see tech coming in. There will be better content creation like we're doing now within the ecosystem. And with that, now we'll have something that is working, as opposed to this idea of just, give me sponsorship, I'll show you on my jersey.
Yeah.
You can show me on your jersey, but does it really translate to money in the bank? And that's what corporates are looking for.
Yeah.
Corporates are not sponsoring sports out of pity here in Europe because they see the value.
Yeah.
But even if you look at here in Europe, in countries like Finland, where we are today, the government has really invested in infrastructure. And
Yeah.
making sure that
Speaking of Finland, what lessons can we borrow from countries like Finland, where it's the football is smaller but super structured?
I think it's that appreciation of structured sports. I think that's what countries like Finland have been able to, harness.
Yes.
They appreciate what sports brings to society beyond just the game, like engaging young people and keeping them active, away from a lot of the vices that you observe. They are still there, but when you have very structured sporting ecosystem, your young people will always be engaged, and they'll always be aiming higher and achieving higher.
Yeah.
And that's what the government wants.
Yeah.
By having that core, that foundation in place, it gives the country the opportunity now to build that professional level, and it doesn't have to be high paying jobs and this kind of thing, but to have a league here that works well, that pays at least a good salary, probably not as big as the bigger leagues like the EPL, but you have something that works for Finland. So even if in Africa, if we start to think, what do we do with the African football space, then we'll get something more sustainable, as opposed to trying to copy what we are seeing in the EPL, always working with the aim of developing and exporting players. Those models are not reliable enough.
Yeah.
So I always insist Africa needs to work more to understand what model do we need to have in place to make sure that we have football or sporting ecosystem that works with our culture and geography and all.
Yeah, yeah. So good insight. So good insight. Yeah, I'll just jump into the next. Like, where do you see is the biggest opportunities for investors, entrepreneurs, and federations in African football?
For me, I see the biggest opportunity being in the grassroots. Yeah, the biggest opportunity in Africa is in the grassroots.
How so?
From infrastructure to merchandise to I don't know, content creation, the biggest opportunity is in the grassroots. And that, why do I say that? Because that's where the numbers are.
Ah, yeah.
You know, all over Africa, like grassroots football is amazing. I mean, you walk into some of these community tournaments and you find more fans than there are in our stadiums. Yeah. And how do we now tap into that? By creating or building facilities that are suited for those environments. You know, a facility that allows these people to congregate every other weekend or every other day with connected businesses. It's not just about football. Yeah, when you're doing the football, what other businesses can be built around that? And they could be small businesses to medium-sized businesses that you connect. For me, that's where the biggest opportunity lies. And if we get that right, the people who invest at that point are bound to read big when now the whole football institution starts to grow.
Yeah.
So me, I always focus on the grassroots.
Grassroots.
And now there's also things like I do conferencing. I think there's also a big opportunity there. You know, when I started 4 years ago, I think it's one of the first, actually the first football conference being done by an African organization in Africa.
Okay.
But now more and more are coming. There are sports businesses that are happening across the continent. So there's really a lot of things that we need to explore outside of the pitch or beyond the pitch, as you put it here.
Yeah. Nice. Um, so, how is FFA creating social impact on the ground?
Um, for me, FFA will always be about impact because, like as I said, we set out to see how we can drive more resources into grassroots football.
Yeah.
I can give you one example. Eldoret Football Club, for example, I've supported them for the last, rather, we have worked together for the last 4 or 5 years. And this is somebody who was just keen on the Africa Football Business Show, but I realized there is something special about him in terms of what he's trying to do with his club. And if you go now and look up Eldoret Football Club, it probably has one of the best digital presences in Kenya, better than probably half of the Premier League teams. And this is a team that is playing in the regional in Uasin Gishu. Through some of our platforms, Eldoret Football Club has been able to sell their jerseys international merchandise. So when he's looking at selling merchandise, he's not just targeting his fans, because he still hasn't built that fan base, even though he has the potential. But because of the initiatives he is pushing as Eldoret FC, he can be able to garner support globally, and as well as leveraging social media. Another thing that I've been trying to do really is to build capacity for the continent, because what you see again in Africa is that we don't have enough people on the management side of the game, people who are qualified. And through the Africa Football Business Summit, which is now in its 4th year, we have been able to secure 5 scholarships for students to study masters in ISDE Law Business School, which is one of the best sports programs globally. And the idea is that these people go, they do their masters, and they come back and support the growth of the industry. What we're trying to do as a next step is also now to connect some of these international institutions to local institutions, which are also developing sports management programs, so that their quality can improve. And in this way, we'll have more people who understand the business of sports and how we can grow it in Africa without, always copying what we see in developed sports economies here in Europe.
Yeah. So is it suffice to say that Eldoret Football Club can be like that is the best story that FFA can tell, or are there other successful stories that?
I think Eldoret at the moment stands out. But if I talk about other successes, probably I talk about what I've been able to achieve as a person as Brian Wesaala. I've been awarded the Football Heroes Award, and that was in 2019. when I met Francesco Totti in Moscow, Russia. Last year, I was awarded by my alma mater, Strathmore University, as the Alumni of the Year Service to Society Award for what I've been doing. But these are individual awards, connected to what I do with the Football Foundation for Africa. But I believe a lot more can be done. We're just scratching the surface. We're just getting started. And within the next 5-10 years, I want FFA to be at the same level as CAF or FIFA when it comes to what we're driving as revenue, as impact.
Yeah, nice. Well, if a young African, a young Kenyan is watching right now, what advice would you give them?
Keep playing. I'm sure in this case you're talking about a footballer or a sports person.
Yeah.
Keep playing. But the current situation in the football space, it does not provide enough opportunities. So you have to keep your options open. So your education is very important. For me, I encourage pursue both football and education to the highest level possible, so that you make sure you are a well-rounded person who can add value to society. If you're just pursuing a football career and something happens to that, it can really be frustrating when you can't really contribute to society. So for young people, I always encourage them: work hard on the pitch, off the pitch. Make sure you're doing the best in your education, and you don't have to be like an A student or anything. But always keep learning. Have a skill that you can develop and ensure that you're able to be a productive member of society.
Yeah, nice. Well, it's so nice that we are developing this conversation. It's getting deeper, and we are understanding the impact of FA. And I know most people are asking themselves, who is this Brian? Kwani ni Mkenya ama do you speak Swahili?
I'm in Kenya.
Okay.
I'm in Kenya.
Nice.
Me,
Yeah.
Nimezaliwa Nairobi.
Yeah.
I was in Nairobi until I was 25.
Oh.
That's the first time I left actually the country, nikienda Geneva.
Okay.
But other teams namtaka kabisa. Kama
okay.
unajua Maada na Nairobi West, tuko ndo home.
Alright.
Huko nimezaliwa. Hata ukienda huko uulize huko kwanza tu Steve, hautapata hata Brian ya kutafuta kazi.
So Steve is your AKA.
Yeah.
Alright, nice. Unaweza ambia nini wale watu na come up as agents? Unajua vijana wadogo wanadanganywa sana. Utaenda majuu kucheza ball. Mimi ni agent na nataka kushikanisha ndio uende majuu. Ambie parents wako tuna need 2.4 million. Unaweza washow nini?
That's interesting when you use hivyo, because even on Wednesday, my presentation at Play the Game is about human trafficking in football.
Oh yeah.
And how we can prevent that. And for me, the problem is, again, at the invest vizuri kwa football, we haven't invested enough as government, which means outsiders come to take advantage of the desperation of parents of children. So my first point of call would be for government to really raise the standards in terms of how they govern sports and football on the continent. And then, of course, we need a lot of awareness and education, both for parents, guardians, and for players. Like right from the onset, people need to know what is happening in the football industry. There are a couple of other initiatives you're trying to bring on board, like how can you make sure you're working with a proper agent? How do you work with the embassies to make sure like whoever is leaving the country is leaving for a legit trial? Hii mambo kwanza kwenda trial, I think it should end. Ati nimepata trial mahali, let me go and see how it works. No, we should be living to structured clubs. So the way we structure our football back in Kenya should be connected structurally to football in Europe. Right. So it's not a matter of let me go and see what will happen. No, by the time you're leaving the country, we should know you're going to this and this club.
Yeah, there should be a meritocracy.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that we get the best.
Where are you coming from? Do you have your data? You look at village, you can the county, you're at at NSL level, you're at the Premier League, and now you're moving to this club in Europe.
Yes.
But this idea of getting somebody from the village, you have been identified by an agent, let's go for a trial in Finland, and then if it doesn't work, you disappear. That needs to stop. Yeah. But for that to happen, like all the stakeholders need to be informed, starting with our government.
All right. Wow. How nice! So nice to have this. So nice. At least we have a good perspective from how you're putting it. How we feel that we have someone to represent us as far as the global.
For sure. For me, when I set up the Football Foundation, that's why it's Football Foundation for Africa. It's for us. It's not of Africa. That's something. It's for us, and I believe even like engaging new people in the diaspora, I should be able to play a stronger role in terms of even educating the continent or investing in the continent, but investing in a structured manner. You see, the other thing you realize there's a lot of resources in the diaspora that we're not tapping into. These kind of opportunities are very important for us. I usually say also, like, a lot of the capital still rests here, but to get it on the ground, first we have to get our act together in Africa, and then see how to structurally engage the African diaspora, because it has a huge potential.
Yeah.
There's so much exposure here. Even for me, a lot of what I do is based on the experience that I had in the 10 years that I was in Europe. Like, I saw how things are done here, and I'm asking myself, how come we can't do the same back home? Yeah. So we should always, as people in the diaspora, when we go back, if you ever get a chance to, like, just push that narrative, like things can be done in a better way. I know there's usually some resistance, we are na uzungu na nini na nini, but when they see things work, then they appreciate, what it means to be diaspora and what contribution you can make back home.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're still having Brian Wesaala for us in Ninjaball, and in the next segment, we are going to do a quick fire session with him so that you can see the part of him that we don't know. We are football lovers, and we have also the impact of football in what we perceive as the best for us, because someone can be a Chelsea fan like me. He's someone, maybe he has not told us what team he supports, and we will not ask it, but let's go straight up to the quick fire session. Brian, Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
Pep or Mourinho?
Mourinho.
Favorite African footballer ever?
Nwankwo Kanu.
One Finnish word you've learned?
Itosh.
Kitos.
Itosh.
Kitos.
Kitos.
Kitos, yeah. Nice one. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
A song that gets you hyped before a big event?
Come Tomorrow. Mighty Diamonds.
Mighty Diamonds, okay. A dream five-a-side team, past or present?
Does it mean the people I played with or the people I have seen?
The people you've seen and you've played with.
That's a difficult one.
Yeah, just mention them. I'll find them in the internet.
In the internet.
Yeah, I'll find them.
I'll say Kalusha Bwalia, Nwankwo Kanu. On defense, I'll have my late friend Alan Onyango Obama. That's why he's the guy who inspired the Football Foundation for Africa.
Wow.
Play with one of my uncles. He's called Kevin Kusimba. And then on the right to Mika Luang, we played with him in high school.
Wow. Yeah. Nice. Sounds nice. Sounds nice, right? Okay. VAR. Love it? You hate it?
I hate it.
One thing Africa does better in football culture than Europe?
Flair.
Who's winning AFCON 2025?
Senegal.
Who's
Have
winning?
they qualified?
Senegal, yes, they've qualified. Yes. Who's winning the FIFA World Cup?
That's a difficult one. Portugal.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brian. It's been a real pleasure having you. Before we wrap up, if you could just share one message to young Africans who dream of making a difference through football, what would it be?
To be honest, I don't preach the idea of making it through football. For me, I believe in be the best you can be in life and also work to contribute to society, whether it's through football or any other talent you have. Especially Africa needs more builders. So, yeah, see what you can bring to society.
Wow. Thank you for joining us, Brian. Thank you so much, Brian, for joining us.
Very much welcome. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. You can now follow Brian through his socials, and actually you should get a time and sit down and check out footballfoundation.africa and on all his social media platforms he's found as Brian Wesaala. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ninjaball, and this is where you get the cream, the best of the best ideas concerning world football and African football, to be specific. Remember, this is Ninjaball, and in case you didn't know, now you know. Thank you. See you on the next one. Cheers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.